Welcome back, everybody. It's your pilot wannabe again, mid-flight on our way to Columbus, Ohio. That's the beautiful plane we're in. For this one, we're going to talk about top of descent. Basically, it's going to be an experiment. We're going to see if I remember how to get the Garmin 530 to compute the top of descent for me. And if I don't, then we're going to see how well I do at figuring it out on my own. And then we're going to do a landing in, I believe it was Bolton Field. We'll look at the flight plan again. Back in Sky Vector, we're about. It's pretty. I didn't skip a bunch of the flight. I might skip some here depending on how long till our top of descent. But right now we're like I active paused it with about 7 minutes to go to only the second waypoint. This waypoint right here. So yeah, it looks like we're probably halfway through the flight. It take halfway through the flight to get to our altitude. Of course, we paused in part one. Well, didn't pause. We paused our climb at 5,500 feet in part one to talk about the mixture. But yeah, this is see, that puts us, we're right about here, so getting close to halfway. I wanted to get the frequency for Bolton Field for the AWAS 35.925. Help me remember that. 35.925. 35.925. I double checked the real world weather there. It looks nice, so shouldn't be any problems. One of these days it'll not be nice, and then we'll end up talking about ILSs and whatnot, which is a whole nother subject. Okay, I'll see you guys back in the plane. Anyhow, so yeah, we've got about 5 minutes to go to Illy. I don't know. Sometimes they tend to try to pronounce the waypoints, which is odd for pilots, aviation people. Like to use the phonetic alphabet, and then they say things like Illy, like you would even know how to spell that if you heard it. So let's see. Yeah, we're almost to Illy. Yeah, looking pretty good. Let's switch back. Some planes in the sim, I forget which ones. Some of them have a 530 and a 430. I prefer having both, but one 530 is better than just trying to navigate with nothing but VOR radios and DMEs and stuff like that, which we'll get into some of that. I don't pretend to understand all of that. I've got a good grip on VORs. I can literally navigate around on VORs. But when you get into other types of radio navigation things and NDBs and things like that, I haven't researched enough on all that stuff yet. 1 nautical mile to go. Oh yeah, that is in distance. Sometimes it's in time. Yeah, time's down there. 15 seconds. Let's make sure the plane turns. It's always a good idea to make sure that the plane is following the autopilot course. As soon as it successfully makes the turn, I don't believe it did it? Are we on nav? Oh, we're on heading. I don't know how we got on heading. Switching to nav now. See, that's why you pay attention. We would have just kept rolling along, going the wrong way if I had not been paying attention. I really don't know how it got on heading. Something I did with the autopilot. But that's, like I said, that's why you pay attention and make sure. All right, so we're back on heading. Let's see if we can, let's wait for it to get all stabilized. How's my fuel balance going? I was talking so much in the first half that I got way out of balance. I got below half tank on the right tank before I switched to the left tank. I feel like we're using a lot of fuel. Yeah, I think we might switch over to lean of peak. Now we went rich of peak in the first half, talking about the fuel mixture, but now I'm gonna back it off, backing off the mixture control ever so slowly. There's peak, and bring it down to 50 degrees lean of peak, and now using. Well, we're using less than 12 gallons per hour. Yeah, 11 gallons per hour. Yeah, maybe that'll help. Don't want to run out of fuel before we get where we're going. How far have we got? Let's see. Flight plan. Yeah, we got 90 miles to go. Oh, I was supposed to put in the frequency for the weather. Does anybody remember what that is? No? Is it 32975? 32975? All right, let's switch over and look. I can't see it yet myself. 35925. 35925. That's right. 35925. Oh, wrong mouse. 35925. Let's go ahead and we'll do it in COM 2. 35925. Pass it. 35925. Swap it, and we will monitor COM 2. Okay, don't hear anything yet. When we get close enough, the weather will just pop in. All right, let's see. You're gonna look around, make sure we're stable. Yeah, we're not supposed to be in these clouds. If you're flying IFR, you're not supposed to be flying through clouds. If I was doing this flight more realistically, we'd drop down below these clouds, but that's not our goal right now. Let's see if we remember how to get the Garmin 530 to tell us when our top of descent, when we should start descending is. All right. I want to be at, I believe it was 1,900 feet. Whoops. That's wrong. Swap over here. I want to be at 1,900 feet. Enter. Sure, 4 miles before our destination, I'm sorry, which is Tango Zulu Romeo. And I want to be descending at 500 feet per minute. All right, so begin descent in 13 minutes. The Garmin 530 in some ways is easier to use than the G1000, but neither the 530 or the G1000 are as easy to use as a GTN 750. We'll get more into that when we're in an appropriate plane. But there we go, 13 minutes. Now I forget if there's any kind of visual representation on here, the way the G1000 gives you a little top of descent mark. Remember if that's, I sure don't see anything around here. Maybe it's an option. What's in the menu? Display next red, that's weather. Change fields, restore defaults. Yeah, no, there's not much else in there. We'll hit clear, get rid of that. Okay then, I guess I'll go ahead and give the recording a break till we hit the top of descent, and we'll talk about what we're going to do with our 3 power controls, the throttle, prop, angle, and mixture. We'll talk about that when we begin the descent. So I'll see you guys in a few. Okay, everybody, we're back. We've got about 5 minutes to go. Yeah, just under 5 minutes to go till top of descent, and I'm back a little early because it occurred to me when we were talking about the plane back on the ground in Lansing. I didn't mention its rather notorious nickname. It's the V-35 Bonanza was known as the Doctor Killer, which is, you know, not very reassuring, I suppose. The reason it got that nickname is when it was first becoming popular in the like 50s and 60s, I believe. Uh, Back then, there was a lot of doctors, since doctors were considered well off in those days. There was a lot of doctors. Oh, hey, there's the weather. Hang on a second. I'll resume my story in a second. 218. Altimeter 3015. Let's get 3015 in here. 3015 should be between those two marks there. There, somewhere around there. Okay, now we'll stop monitoring COM2. Boom. Anyway, so back then, doctors were buying their own airplanes because they could afford them, and planes were becoming more affordable, and it was post World War II and everything. But it wasn't so much that doctors in particular were breaking these planes and dying, but since it was a lot of doctors buying planes back then, and with varying degrees of training and skill, it ended up being several doctors were actually breaking the tail off, the V-tail. Not because the V-tail was overly weak. It turned out it was a weak spot and something they actually corrected later. But they were overspeeding. We talked about overspeed a little bit. They were getting way up in the yellow here and doing maneuvers, or even going all the way to the never exceed speed. And it turned out the tail would start oscillating, start vibrating and wobbling, and it would break the tail off. And a fixed wing airplane can't really fly without its empennage, which is the term for the tail. Anyway, I wanted to get that story in because it occurred to me I had not mentioned that we were in the Dr. Killer. All right, about 2 minutes to descent. So we're going to get ready. We're going to pre-select 1900 feet. Oops. Pre-select 1900 feet. Less than 2 minutes to go. I'm not going to, since our airspeed is so far from overspeed, from yellow, I'm not going to bother backing off the power until we legitimately begin the descent. I may or may not have mentioned in the past what I tend to shoot for in my power settings for a descent is I try not to vastly increase my ground speed because that'll throw the timing of the descent off. So I try to watch that. I'm probably going to completely blow that because I'm going to be talking to you and, not focusing 100% on what I'm doing. But that's my goal anyways, to not be, look down and find this saying 210, knots for my ground speed or something like that. Oh, shoot. Let's see. Should we start the descent? Yeah, we're supposed to start the descent. Alrighty, let's see. My controls don't seem to work right on this. Yeah, no idea why that just happened. Yeah, I've got a couple of my controls bungled. So yeah, I never did turn on the pitot heat. It was probably all right. Anyway, now that everything's going wrong. Yeah, my hardware doesn't get along well with this little control unit here. See, I want to descend at 500 feet per minute. Okay, it's doing it. So that's good. Now, one thing we're gonna do, we're lean of peak, right? So we're going to go, see, I'm explaining this all wrong. I'm gonna enrich the mixture to peak since we're gonna start descending. Not sure why I got that beep. There's a glitch that causes the throttle cut suddenly sometimes. I'm wondering if that's why I got that beep. I think it was the warning that the throttle was set too low for the landing gear being retracted. Either way, I also noticed the cow flap here. Remember when I said it probably doesn't matter what we do with the cow flap? Yeah, we've been flying along up high this whole time, and then cylinder head temp still high, but in the interest of, some semblance of realism, we're going to close the cowl flap for the descent because you want to keep some heat in the engine, because if you rapidly cool it, you can, crack the block or something, which is not anything that's ever going to happen in our Magic airplane here. Again, some other plane that's got a lot of systems depth, maybe we'll try to break them in varieties of ways, for science. Anywho, okay, we're up to 185. So I enriched the mixture a little bit. I'm gonna bump the RPMs up a little bit with the blue handle, with the prop pitch. Just gonna bump it up to threatening 2400 RPMs. And I'm going to back the throttle, the manifold pressure, off down to 19 PSI for now. As you're climbing and when you reach your cruising altitude, you always set your throttle or manifold PSI first, and then your RPMs or prop pitch angle, and then your mixture. When you go to descend and you're wanting to reduce your power, you do all of those in reverse. You adjust the mixture first, enriching it some. You give it a little more RPMs with the prop pitch control, and then you reduce the throttle. There's reasons for this. Reasons I don't... Oh, hey, look, the autopilot turned off. Speaking of things I don't understand. Okay, I just turned the autopilot back on, and the nav mode back on, and we're not really descending at 500 feet anymore. Yeah, only 300. So that sound was the autopilot knocking off for some reason. That little alarm earlier. I don't know what that was or what would have caused that. Unless it's a glitch. Huh. That was really weird. Really, really weird. Okay, we're on nav, autopilot, yaw damper, descending 500 feet. Okay, everything seems to be hunky-dory except for the fact that we're off course. All right, heading mode to get us back on course. And then we'll switch back to nav when we get closer to the magenta line. Man, I was doing all that talking and the plane's just flying off in some random direction. I was totally wrong. I did an okay job managing the speed during descent. I just didn't notice that the plane was, headed off back to Indiana instead of Ohio. Apparently the plane wants me to go home, but anyway. Where were we? Oh yeah. The reason when you're descending, then you do the mixture and prop and throttle in the reverse order there. There's reasons, not all of which I understand. Something to do with you can actually cause the point at which the fuel, I'm trying to think of the right word. It's not detonate, because that's overly aggressive. Combustion, anyway. The combustion point. You can start screwing around with the combustion point if you get the RPMs in the mixture and the throttle PSI out of whack. I don't pretend to completely understand it. It's been a long time since I watched a couple of videos on the subject. I just remember that's how you're supposed to do it. Maybe I'll find those videos again and link them at some point. Maybe we'll talk more about it. But yeah, you can end up causing misfires or even like premature detonations. You can damage the engine at any rate, which of course you won't damage the engine of this plane because it's magic, even if it is a doctor killer. All right, we're almost back to being on course. Wonder if that's how bad that's gonna screw up our descent. I'm gonna get a little more aggressively back over to the magenta line. I wanna grab it before we get to this waypoint, because sometimes if you manually skip a waypoint, if you don't have things set up right, it tries to take you back to the waypoint, which would be, counterproductive, especially with our fuel getting down into the yellow. We're running the left tank right now. I think we're going to go ahead and let the left tank run for now, and we'll we'll switch when we're getting down close to the pattern. Seem like a plan? Because you're supposed to always take off and land set to the fullest tank. And, oh, it's almost time to call the tower. We're only just over 30 miles out. Sure wish I could just tune the tower in directly and call them, but, oh, wrong button. And since the ATC in the sim is terrible, you can't just directly call them. Okay, now I'm gonna hit nav and see if it catches. Okay, we're not close enough for it to catch, but because of the fact, oh, there it goes, it's catching it now. If it's displaying nav and heading, it means that we're not close enough to catch the nav yet, but it knows to be looking for it. And that was the case, and then we got close enough, and now the nav is caught. Just in time to take us through the waypoint. All right, man, it's a good thing I picked a simple plane with only one engine for this video, or I would have been screwing up even worse. Let's go to the ATC and see if we can find the airport. I'm expecting them to give us runway 4 based on the weather, the real world weather I saw. But we'll see. It's like Kmart, that one. Haven't seen a Kmart in a long time. Okay, where's our airport? No, sure wish I could just tune it in, but the ATC in the game doesn't work that way. And yeah, I'm calling it a game on purpose this time because a simulator would have a better ATC. Okay, we already listened to the weather, so let's just call the tower and request a full stop landing.
Tower Beechcraft, November 8-5 Papa Whiskey Bravo, 25 miles north, 5,900 feet to land.
I'm enriching the mixture a little bit. Get the EGT back up. 017. Left downwind for runway 4. I'll answer him.
Enter left downwind runway for Beechcraft Papa Whiskey Bravo.
And 17, he said. Now my hardware's not responding. There we go. It's kind of stuck. Yeah, it should be 3017-ish. All right, get down close to the ground. 7.5 minutes in the air still, and we're at 5,500 feet. We gotta lose over 3.5 yet. That's about 7 minutes at 500 feet per minute. Yeah, that would be the other way if I hadn't programmed the Garmin 530 to give me the top of descent. If you know how many minutes you have to go to your destination, you can just mathematically figure out your altitude, how much altitude you have to lose, divided by how quickly you're descending, 500 feet per minute in this case, and you can determine when you need to start descending. The only problem there is that it's hard, for some reason, to get the Garmin 530 and the G1000 both. It's hard to get them to spit out how many minutes to your destination. They like to tell you how many minutes to your next waypoint. So unless your last waypoint isn't 100 miles away from your destination, lots of times you need to start descending before the last waypoint. And the Garmin 530 and G1000, if there's a way to get them to cough up that information, I haven't found it. The GTN 750, no problem. But the 530 and the G1000, yeah, they're a little obstinate on that front. So the other way you can do it is you can look at the flight plan, see how many miles you have to go to your destination, look at your ground speed, and do some math there to determine, at how many miles away you need to start your descent. And, I don't know. When I'm sitting here, it's hard for me to do the math, but yeah, that's what smartphones are for. Okay, say, why don't we turn our heading bug, since we're going to be coming up to the downwind side of our runway. See, I've already set the needle here. I don't remember what right off what the needle's called. Maybe a OBS needle. Anyway, I've already set the needle to the runway heading. We're going to be coming up on the downwind side, so I'm going to move the heading bug over to the opposite heading, and when we feel like we're about in the right area to do the downwind, we'll switch to heading mode, and that'll shoot us right into a nice downwind. That's assuming that we're down to the appropriate altitude to be in the pattern. Probably going to be coming in the pattern a little high this time because I was talking at the top of our descent, and then also the autopilot got knocked off for some unknown reason. Guess that's what that little buzzing noise was the autopilot getting turned off. We'll find out when I hit the button to disconnect the autopilot if it makes that same little buzz noise. What do we got here? We got 4 minutes. Yeah, let's go ahead and switch tanks. We're gonna turn on the auxiliary pump, and we're gonna try to switch from the left tank to the right tank without switching it to the off position. Wish me luck. Holding my breath. Ah, success. Make sure the engine keeps running. Again, just to pretend it's realistic. Of course, the engine's going to keep running. It's a magic airplane. We're going to have the fuel pump on for landing, but that's still a couple minutes away, and the thing's noisy, so we're going to shut it off. In real life, you don't want to run it too much, I guess, because you could burn it out depending on the plane and the pump. But we're doing it because I'm wearing a headset, and that thing is making an annoying noise. Yep, we're right down in Columbus, Ohio now. What was the name of this airport again? Bolton Field, I think? Yeah. We're 3 minutes away from Bolton Field in sunny, yeah, I'd say sunny Columbus, Ohio. What do we got over there? Big railroad switching yard or something maybe? Hard to say. I feel like I should be seeing the airport here pretty soon. That might be, oh, had a lag spot again. Game is, the simulator's running a little laggy today, I gotta say. It's always a little laggier when you're closer to the ground. I mean, if it's going to be laggy, it's usually when you're closer to the ground. But yeah, that might be the airport there. How's our altitude doing? 3,000 feet. So right about here. Oh no, wait. We got 2,000 feet to go and 2 minutes away. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're going to increase the mixture a little more. We're gonna enrich in the mixture a little more. Get it closer to peak. We're gonna reduce the throttle. See, the throttle, the PSI went up on its own because we got down into thicker air, denser air. And so remember I had set it to 19 and it was all the way up at like 24, 25. We're gonna back that back off down to 19. I haven't been paying attention to it like I'm supposed to because I've been talking to you, and I haven't flown this plane in a while. I haven't flown a plane in a while that does that. I've been flying a lot of turbocharged planes like the Duke and stuff. Let's increase our descent at the last minute here. Yeah, somewhat substantially. Let's 40% increase in our rate of descent. Like I said, I don't want to come into the pattern super high, so you know what, we're going to switch this over to the north up view. I prefer that in situations like this. Okay, there is the airport. That was a big warehouse we were seeing before on the side of the road, but there's our runway where our downwind's going to be over here. Yeah, we're coming in the pattern pretty hot here. You know what? 154 is the landing gear speeds. We're going to pop out the landing gear to slow us down because we were under that. Get us slowed down, and we're going to call that a downwind. Switching to heading mode now. Turning on our landing and taxi lights. Turning on the fuel pump. I'm gonna put the, I'm gonna go ahead and go full rich on the mixture. We're gonna go to the top of the green. Well, we're gonna go to 2,500 on the RPM. Oh, and the autopilot just knocked itself off again. Or something. I don't know what happened. Anyway, we're on the downwind. I've taken control. We're not precisely on course. We should be getting clearance for landing. Frankly, somewhat surprised we haven't gotten clearance for landing. There it is. Thank you, my good sir.
Cleared to land runway for Beechcraft Papa Whiskey Bravo.
Beechcraft Papa Whiskey Bravo. All right, we're about in the right spot for the base. I'm not going to do anything with the flaps yet. Our speed's plenty low enough. Where's my ball? There it is. Okay. Losing altitude a bit. Whoa, that's excessive. Yeah, I'm just gonna roll right around into a final. I got too close because I wasn't quite on course. Welcome to another botched landing, but you know, what do you expect when it's a pilot wannabe at the controls? All right, we're full on mixture, full on prop, pumps on. We're on the fullest tank. On the approach flaps, reducing the power. Trying to retrim a little bit because I'm holding the nose down. Turning the yaw damper off and going full down on the flaps. Coming in a little fast. Coming in high and fast. Just as you would expect. See, landing gear's down with 3 green still. We got a bit of a crosswind. So I'm going to give it some right rudder to counteract for that. And back in the throttle all the way off. Did it too soon, now we're floating. But managed to save it in the end. Flaps up. Annoying fuel pump off. Fuel pump. He started talking and I think I said fuel pamp or something ridiculous like that. I'm turning the landing lights off. Turning the pitot heat off since we're back in the ground. Hitting the brakes. And taking the taxiway. Let's open the window. 121.8.
Going to 121.8 Beechcraft Papa Whiskey Bravo.
All right, let's get the throttle back up to 1,000 RPMs. We're going to lean the mixture out some so we're not fouling the spark plugs. You need full rich for landing when you want full power and everything, but if you're just idling around, you don't need all that fuel pouring in there, all that leaded aviation fuel going in there fouling the spark plugs, which is not modeled in the Magic Plane. Let's see, what else should we do? Oh, we should turn off the transponder. We could just go on standby, I suppose. Standby on the transponder. I think otherwise we've got everything pretty well tightened up. Oh, we'll get landing lights off. Let's turn off the strobe light. That can be annoying to people. Oh, what was that frequency they said to go to? Should have done it right away. 21.8. It was an easy one and I still botched it up. 21.8. Wow, that's already pretty close. 21.8. 21.8. Switch and request taxi to parking.
Beechcraft November 85 Papa Whiskey
We didn't
Bravo.
need to do that,
Taxi.
but we didn't need to do that. Oops, said say again. I hit the wrong thing. Let's see. Oh, say again's the only choice. Usually just answering back is fine, but a lot of these little airports, the ATC is I mean, the ATC is stupid if it works right, and a lot of these little airports it doesn't even work right. So they're going to ask if we answered in a minute, and yeah, did you copy? Yeah, I copied, but I can't answer you, so we're going to switch to random frequency so we don't have to talk to you anymore. Yeah, parking over here looks good. Looks like there's some little planes parked over there somewhere. A little high on the taxi speed here. Yeah, there's not any other little planes parked around here. I guess we get the whole place to ourselves. We're just gonna dodge these little lights that probably aren't supposed to be there and just find a nice spot over here by the grass and call it good. All right, parking brake, cutting the throttle to idle. All right, got the parking brake set. Let's turn off everything except the beacon light. Okay, all the lights are off except beacon light. Let's turn off the avionics. Avionics off. And let's cut the mixture to kill the inch. I don't know why that closes the window, but it does. Let's open the door up too. And we'll kill the beacon light and kill the generator and kill the main battery. And here we are, Bolton Field. Let's hop out and look at this plane again. That's the best looking single engine plane for for my money. The actually the Diamond DA50RG is pretty close. It'd probably be the best if this had never existed. But yeah, good looking plane. All right, guys. We usually do some kind of a little debrief. What did we learn? We learned that this is a good looking plane. We learned that I, under certain circumstances, can't even do a really good job of faking being a pilot. We learned a bit about the 3 different power management controls: throttle, prop angle, and mixture. We learned, most of that in the part 1 of the video, but we also learned in part 1 about the magneto, or magnetos, and how they work. And for the next video, what do I have planned for the next one? I was thinking about doing the whole pretending to buy a plane and going to get it in the next one for real. We might get back in the Duke, just because I need an excuse to get back in the Duke. We'll see if I can find a Duke for sale, and we'll fly back from wherever I find it. At least that's what I think will be the next video. We'll see. All right, folks. It's gonna be it for me. It's Papa Whiskey Bravo signing off. Catch you next time.